Hello guys and welcome to a new video. This is going to be Class of EmilZy, but we're kind of rebranding it a bit. We're trying some different stuff out. So please let us know if you like this new graphic, this new overlay. But that's pretty much it. Let's get to the topic of today's Class of EmilZy. If you're new to Class of EmilZy, that's where I break down something into a million pieces and try and get the meaning, see if it's viable, not viable. It can be anything regardless of smite. Today we're going to be talking about the 2000 gold pot. And this is called the Elixir speed, and that's something that hires are going to implement in 6.1. Now, the Elixir speed is going to be conquest only. It's going to cost 2000 gold, but for that 2000 gold, you'll get a permanent 18% movement speed buff that persists through death. The catch here is that it does not stack with boots. So that means if you have the potion or the elixir of speed and you have boots, you'll only get 18% movement speed. So the whole deal with why would Hi-Risk implement something like this in the game is they want to break, I guess, the stalemate that late game conquest can be, and they wanted some kind of new option for highly creative players, as they said themselves, to try and get really super creative with like builds. Because what if you don't need to have boots? Late game now you can sell your boots and you can buy a 6th item. Hopefully there's going to be some crazy builds coming up. And that's kind of the Elixir speed. So now let's talk a bit about the potential of the item. So it's meant to be a late game item just because it costs more than boots. However, I do think that perhaps in some other iteration or something, we might see it getting picked up early on. But it costs more than boots, so just break it down. Boots is usually between 1550 to 1600 gold. This costs 2000 gold. You get the same movement speed from boots, but boots also give you a bunch of other stuff, so it's cheaper, but boots is just better. So I don't really see the potential being too great for early game, but who knows, we might figure that out in other iterations of the item. The biggest thing that the 2000 movement speed pod is going to bring is it's going to bring some very interesting scenarios where you can have new builds, I guess, to an extent, because you're going to have one more item slot in case you are not building boots or you sell your boots late game or something like that. So there's going to be a ton of people probably that's going to get super creative. We're going to see some crazy builds. We might even see new guards and new roles just because that's a possibility now. And new guards might really benefit for this, and other guards might kind of have a rough time if everyone else is going to be running around with one more item. That's not boots, obviously. So now we kind of talked about the potential, gave the breakdown. Let's move into what you can actually buy in different roles. Let's try and talk about what potentials there is for like item customization of your build, or like this 6th item that can really bring up some crazy builds. So I've talked a bit with my own team, Knights. I've asked around in my Discord. I've done some research and stuff. So I'm pretty excited. Like I'm not gonna lie, this could get wild. So our first scenario is solo laners. Now warriors are going to be more likable in the new season, I think, just because of the totem. I'll make a different video on the totem, just like this one, but I'll do it in a later video, obviously. But let's say that warriors is going to be meta in solo lane next patch or next season, I guess, and I definitely think that is going to be the case, just because the totem is going to rely so much on having pressure. So if warriors are meta, we have two types of warriors, right? We have attack-based warriors and we have ability-based warriors. Now the attack-based warriors, what if the attack-based warriors, obviously they would start off with getting boots, kind of itemized correctly, and then when they get to the 6th item, suddenly they have an executioner or something like that. Then they sell their boots, buy the potion, and get kins. So you're looking at a 4-item defense build, but you have kins and executioner. Just imagine an Osiris or a Bellona running at you with kins or executioner, and at the same time they have like 200 plus physical prot and they have like 200 plus magical prot and 3k health. That's not gonna be fun. So I reckon you could build like Highland Urchin, Breastplate. You could probably sell Breastplate later on into the game for Mandel. And then you can like magical defense or physical defense, something like that, with whatever you want, right? Then you have 4 items in your executes. Like that's big potential right there, I'm just saying. Besides that, on soul laners, more towards perhaps the ability based soul laners, you could also go for a Frostbound Runeforge combination, which is kind of the same idea as executes, but instead you're playing more setup for your team and you're relying on your abilities to do a bit more damage. So it's definitely going to be interesting to see what ability-based warriors can do as well. I think the main thing about this 2000 gold pot is that we'll see more tanky characters build more damage and more damagey characters build more tanky. So the meta is going to get crazy wild if this is going to become a thing. I also briefly wanted to touch on Guardians in solo. Obviously, we've had a bit of a switch, I guess you can say, where gods like Terra and like Xing Chang now as well are able to pretty much solo the enemy ADC or the mage, just because they do an insane amount of damage with Soul Reaver. This might get even more crazy, because now they're going to have one more item to do just that, and whether that's them wanting to get more defensive or getting more like power straight away just so they can try and kill even harder, we'll see. But I'll touch a bit more on Guardians when I get to support. So let's get to jungle. So jungle is probably the most versatile role in the game right now. You can kind of play a lot of different gods in the jungle, so I think jungle is going to be very exciting. The first thing that comes to mind is that you'll just see gods more so than before favor movement speed in the jungle, because you have these movement speed items, more specifically the katana tree, which is actually a super strong tree. You can have your katanas now and the extra movement speed, so you'll be a bit faster than everyone while you still have the super good stats, because stone cutting is a super good item, so is mass immune, so is haste and katana, and so is, what's the last item in that tree? I don't even know. Who cares about that item anyway? So MS can definitely be a big thing. I can see gods like Mercury, perhaps Arachne, build these more MSC items, so they're just a bit faster than everyone else, can kind of juke around a bit more, and they'll also have a lot of extra power or something for that, because mass immune, like you sell your boots for mass immune, you get the potion, not only are you getting 10% stronger, you're also getting health, 50 physical power, and protection from mass immune, right? Actually, I'm not sure if mass immune is not health, maybe, I'm stupid. Anyway, one thing I also find very scary about jungling, and junglers more specifically, about the 6th item builds, is these hybrid tank junglers that we had in the meta for season 5 at least. I guess in the middle of the season we saw Merc building super tanky. We've seen a lot of like Ravana also building tanky. We've had Guardians in the jungle has been meta, like Cabraken. We saw that very early on in the season. That could very well come back, because junglers that can build hybrid should be able to do really well next season as well, just because you kind of need a bit more tankiness in general, I think, because everyone's going to do a bit more damage, but you also need to do damage, right? And these kind of guys are going to do well, so I can see building like a hybrid build, but then you have space for one more item, which means you can go one or two ways. Either you can build more damage and you can like do, well, obviously more damage and be more tanky so you don't die. So items I think that could be built on junglers. Well, obviously if you're like AA based, like Nemesis, you can build crit Nemesis, or you can build like attack speed Nemesis, or like Kins and stuff, the good old Nemesis. I'm thinking more like Guardian wise, and don't you can build like Athena, you can build a kind of semi-damage cooldown up in your face all the time. There's a lot of items I think that's really going to excel and get way more popular. Some of those are like the more niche items we have in the game, but I'll try and touch on some of them a bit later. But I think for now, like Haste and Katana might see a lot of pickup. We'll probably see Frostbound get picked up a bunch more. Runeforged Hammer, the new Blackthorn Hammer as well, are items that I all see have a very high likability of getting picked up. Again, I think I kind of touched already on how different guards can be played in the jungle role compared to other roles. This is definitely the most versatile role. So it's going to be super interesting to see what people are going to come up with. I can't even fathom like some of the crazy builds people are going to be able to pull off, and it's going to be absolutely insane. You're going to have a Mercury running around with 3 crit items, Titan's Bane, and then he'll have like 2 defense items. He'll have like Hide the Urchin and Mantle of Discord, and you can't kill him, but he's still critting you for like 700. Mid role is going to be the next one. Now, the biggest thing I want to say about mid, this is my biggest prediction. If the 2000 gold thing really will become a thing in mid, if Feral Staff is gonna skyrocket in value. E-Staff is already a super strong item, steals a lot of health. If people won't build boots, and build something else instead. That is in most cases going to mean that people are going to build one extra health item, whether that's Frostbound has extra health on it, some of the different blades has extra health on it. Obviously, like Magi's is a big thing as well. Like this might just be the season of Magi's Blessing as well. So E-Staff works well the more health the enemy has, obviously. And if you can build E-Staff, so you have like a full power build on a mid-mage, then suddenly boost, you get E-Staff, which is still more power. So you have some extra health, you have some CCR. And then you see like 200 health every time you hit someone, or like 150 health. It's going to be super strong. So you don't need that extra defense item just because that's kind of what E-Staff does already. And if everyone's going to be running around with 2,500 health, fuck it, E-Staff is going to be super great. This also goes for like the Guardians you can play in solo. Even support Guardians could go ahead and get E-Staff. Another thing that's pretty obvious is you can build defense. I think we all remember like Raging with like Mandler Discord, Hided Urchin, or like AMC mid with Hided Urchin was also a big thing back in the day. Building defense in general, when you have like, let's say you're playing a mage, you have like 78 base fist prot, I think that's where it's at, and you have like 48 magical protections, then you might have Sora, you're sitting around like 50 magic prot, 90 physical prot, right? The value you get for building like a Mandler for a Discord or a Bulwark of Hope is just so insane, because the way protections work, the lower your protections are, the more effective it will be to build protection. So if I go from 90 to 150 physical protection because I buy Mandler Discord, that's going to be a significantly bigger increase than if I have 200 protections and I go to 260 protections. That's just kind of the way the graph or whatever, that's how pen works, and damage mitigation is might, that's how that works. So we'll see a lot of defense items on squishy characters if they do not go up for like the E-Staff way. So yeah, defense items, Mandler Discord, Bulwark of Hope, Midgardian Mail, Magi's Blessing, all these items are definitely going to shine. So it's going to be scary. One last thing I really wanted to touch on mid is obviously we can spend a lot of time talking about like double pen builds and all that, but Rod of Tahuti, man. Rod of Tahuti is an insane item, but it's just hard to fit it into your build right now, and it costs a lot. But Rod is this insane item that I think is super undervalued, and if people start picking up Rod, you think someone already has like 900 power pen, you pick up Rod of Tahuti, someone gets below 50% and they just get one shot. Just the raw power is perfect. So I think Rod is also going to see rise. Moving on to the ADC. Again, just briefly to touch on the same subject as the mage, I think the ADC will also be most likely will be getting another defense item. So I think I covered that pretty well in the mages section. So let's move on to crit and kins. So everyone has always told you, don't build crit and kins. But realistically, next season you could go Devour's Gauntlet, Executioner, Kins, Poison Star, Deathbringer, Titan's Bane, right? Like that's a build right there. You have like double pen, double crit, Kins, and lifesteal. That's actually not bad at all. Like then you're at the point where you're just doing a bunch of damage. Like you're dealing a bunch of damage, you're critting a bunch, you're still doing a lot of damage to tanks because you have your Kins. This might be the season where all the Furious crafters are going to pack up their backpack and just leave, because you know what, baby, it's crit Kins meta. What I do think is going to be more likely is we'll just see like 100% crit. Because again, you can build 4 crit items, because you can build Devour's Gauntlet, Executioner, Tahuti, what I'm saying, Deathbringer, Rage, Wind Demon, Poison Star, bam, 100%, even more I think, crit chance, just off that, which is just kind of insane. Is that even 100% crit chance? If you crit, it is, because you get the Wind Demon passive. Anyway, you're pretty much going to have a 100% crit chance, and that's going to be insane. Just imagine just critting all of your basics. You're going to do so much damage. As an ADC, you're going to have a super high objective damage as well. You can pretty much just solo FG. Talking about soloing FG, what if you went more lifesteal? What if your build was just the standard build? Perhaps you have like, whether you have crit or whether you have a pen build, you can just sell your boots and you can get an Asi, or you can get Bloodforge, something like that, right? So you're building more lifesteal, so you can like sustain yourself fitting into a higher anemia lion or even a fauns, and you can solo objectives. That's also going to be very strong. Obviously, you can also just go for like the full pen route. So you go like Titan's Bane, Kins, that's not pen, but like Kins, Exe, Crusher, Devos, and I guess you would go for like some kind of attack speed item with that as well. The last build I want to mention when it comes to ADC is what if you went like Silver Branch Bow? So Silver Branch Bow gives you power for attack speed you overcap. So what if you went like Devour's Gauntlet, Executioner, Atlantis Bow, Silver Branch, Kins, and wait, Devour's, Exit, Kins, Silver Branch, Atlantis, and then you can pretty much get like Titan's Bane even if you want, right? And you're gonna be way overcapped on attack speed. You're gonna be pretty fast. If you have a steroid, obviously, that's just gonna make it even better. So that definitely could be a thing as well. But that was touching on all the other roles, so now we'll get to support. Support is going to be very interesting. Obviously, I think that because I'm a support myself, but also I think there's a bunch of different opportunities you can go for now that you're support. I think one item that's going to be pretty mandatory on supports, if this is going to become a thing, is going to be Pythax. Pythagorean's piece is this insanely undervalued item that you can't really fit into your build, because then you need an Emperor's Armor, then you need Spectral, then you need a magical defense item or something like that. So I think Pythax has so much potential as a 6th item, because you're already tanky enough that you can get that. Obviously you can get like Soul Reaver, E-Staff as well. That's also an opportunity, so your build would look like you have Sovereignty, right? You have you're probably going to build Thebes. Next season we'll make a new video on Thebes as well, but you have Thebes, you have Soft, you have Hardward, you have Spirit Robe, Mantle of Discord, something like that, right? Or Emperor's Armor, who knows, Anti-Crit, Pythax. You have a bunch of health, you have a bunch of cooldown reduction, you have good protections, and you give your team so many auras. Like, that's gonna be insane. Auras and supports that we don't see getting picked up too much is definitely gonna be a big thing. Relic Dagger could be pretty insane as well, just because you get the extra movement speed and you'll be a bit stronger than everyone else. There's also a lot of niche items that might be super good. So I'm thinking like Gem of Iso might be good in some scenarios, like Kepri, Fafnir, Ares. Those are all guards that do super well with Gem of Isolation, but it's hard to fit it into the build unless you're playing that playstyle. But I think there's going to be a case where it's actually fine building it now, because you're going to have space in your build. So like you're kind of the same standard build, Thebes, Soft, Hardward, Spirit Robe, Gem of Iso, Mantle of Discord, something like that, and you're fine. I think Emperor's Armor is pretty much going to be a must next season, because everyone's going to have one more spot to build that item, and Emperor's Armor is just insane when it comes to sieging. Buy that. If you don't buy Emperor's Armor and you're sieging, you're not doing it right. You hear me saying anti-crit all the time, but what I mean with that more specifically is obviously Spectral Armor. Spectral Armor actually also did get buffed back to 50% of crits, which is really goddamn good. So Spectral Armor is more effective than ever. And I think Spectral Armor is this very insane build, or like item you can use in your build just to completely counter crit, right? Like imagine a 100 next season that's gonna have 4 crit items, and you just go like Spectral, and you're like, oh, you're critting me for like 150. That's cute. And you just run at them and kill them because you do more damage. So I think Spectral is pretty insane. You can like even match it with Pythax and you just skip out on Mantle or something. And obviously, one last thing you could do is you could just get like another tank item. So your build could be like Thebes, Soft, Hardward, or like, when I say Soft and Hardward, by the way, that's just like physical item, magical defense item. So you go Thebes, magical defense items, physical defense item, Spirit Robe. Spirit Robe's a must. Spirit Robe is OP. Spirit Robe is broken. And then 5th item you get like Mantle, and then 6th item you get like Magi's Blessing. You have 300 of each protection. Don't know why I can't talk today. You have 600. What am I saying now? You have 300 of each protection, and you'll have like plus 3000 health, and you're just running around with auras. You're running around with Magi's. You're pretty unkillable. So that's kind of it for support. I'm sure when I get to test it out more, I'll probably like perhaps make another video. But let's talk about the viability. So while I've just talked about a bunch of scenarios where it cannot be applied, I actually think the 2000 gold pot is pretty much not worth it. There's like 1 in 1,000 scenarios where I would recommend to buy this potion as it stands right now. I really hope Pyrus is going to change it or make like an iteration of it. But let's talk about why I don't think it's good. So I already kind of mentioned it already, but you're not meant to buy it early. You have the difference between buying boots, which gives you 18% movement speed, even 25 if you're buying Travelers or Telarias, or you can spend 400 gold more and buy a potion that lasts the whole game, but so does boots, right? And you are also missing out on like 40 physical power, pen, cooldown, mana, reinforced, MP5. It's just not worth it. Like if you buy this pot early instead of boots, you're playing to lose the game, because that's just not worth it at all. Like at all. It makes zero sense in my brain why you would do that. So you should never buy this item early. Maybe there's like some super weird scenario where you're playing Arachne or something and you have like 3 blades first item and then you're like back with 2,000 gold and you buy it, but I just don't see that happening, because even then boots would just straight up be better to just buy boots. So if you don't buy it early, you definitely don't buy it in the middle of the games, because then you have boots already and then you need to sell your boots because your boots are pretty useless. So you have to buy it late game. So if you want to buy this item, you have to buy it late game. But let's put up some different scenarios. So if you want to buy this potion, I think you need to be able to sell your boots, buy a new item, and buy the potion in the same back. You can't just buy the potion and then just run around with your boots, because then you're legit just spent 2,000 gold and you're not getting any benefits here now, and then you're not playing to win the game. So you need to be able to sell your boots, buy a new item, and then buy the potion. That's how much gold you need to sit on. So we're talking like 4,000 or 5,000 gold, right? But if I'm backing with 4,000 gold, why wouldn't I just rather get like a 3k pot, right? So if I could get a 3k pot, I can get the Elixir of Power, which gives me 25% increase in power, right? And it gives me an increase against structures as well of 25% for 6 minutes, and it persists through that depth. Although it's only 6 minutes, but I think if you can't end the game when you have a 3k pot in the time you're a 3k pot, you're probably doing something wrong. And then a 2,000 gold pot isn't going to help you either. Unless it's a very specific scenario where you keep getting blown up by this, I don't know, Xing-Chan blinking at you and you need Magi so you don't need to beast his ult, because then the Daji is going to pull you as an ADC, then maybe. But at that point, like, why won't you just buy a defense pot, right? And I think even more so, the power potion is just really, really good. Like the 3k power pot is so insanely good. So I don't think you buy it late, because when you back, I think the best case scenario is you have like 4,500 gold, you sell your boots, then you have like 5,500 gold. What I'm saying, you back and you have 3,500 gold, you sell your boots, you have 4,500 gold, something like that. You buy the pot and then you buy your item. And then maybe, but again, like, why wouldn't you just buy a 3k pot? Because 3k pot is just so much better. Like, the difference between the stats you get from boots and the stats you're going to get from your new item compared what you're getting from a 3k pot, it's just so insanely different. Unless, I guess, there's also some scenario where it's like a 70-minute game and you have like 7k gold and you already have both the 3k pots and you're like, well, fuck it, I might as well just go boots. But I think there's very few scenarios where you want to do this. If you want to do it, it's probably in a scenario where you need Magi's or something and don't want to sell anything else. And there's a very specific need in your team. Like, this is a win condition. Because I think a 3k pot is win condition. So don't buy it. Right now, this sucks. Like, the 2k pot sucks. I'm just trying to list up, like, scenarios where it might be good. But I don't think you should buy it. That's one thing, and usually games don't last that long. Like, if you just think about it, how many games have you had lately where you have been able to buy a 3,000 gold pot? Like, that's maybe 1 in 25 games. And even then, you'd rather buy the 3k pot. So I'm talking about something that could realistically only happen once in every 25 game, or 25th game. It's kind of useless, I think, at the current price. So the games doesn't last that long. You don't want to buy it early. You don't want to buy it late. 3k pots are better. Like, why buy it? So what can Hi-Risk do to change this? So let's talk about some potential changes. So one thing the very obvious thing to do is just to decrease the gold cost, right? So you can say, well, all right, boots is just better. Let's just decrease the gold cost. Let's make it 1500 gold, something like that. I think that's going to make it more like people will maybe experience a bit or experiment a bit more with it, and it's going to become a viable option earlier on. I don't think you should make it like 1000 gold or something. Maybe even if it's 1000 gold, why would people buy it? Because you can still buy boots and get like 40 power and stuff like that. Or like you can get 40 power and pen, or 2500 mana and cooldown reduction, or protections and health and crowd. Like, I don't know. It needs better like stats, or it needs a gold decrease. So one thing, you could give it better stats as well. So you could add like, I don't know, let's say you add 25% movement speed for 1750 gold or something. Then it's something that might be worth looking at as getting. Then it also matches Teleria's. So if it's this potion or elixir of speed, how comes that it's not faster than like boots? At least it should be the fastest, like equal that of the fastest boots, if you guys get me. So that's definitely one approach you can take to it. And I think like the last approach, which I prefer personally, is what if we just universally gave everyone on the map this potion at a certain point in the game. So let's say rather that's when you hit level 20, you get the potion and you can sell your boots and you'll still have the movement speed. Whether that's when you have slain 5 gold fairies or 3 fire giants, you get this potion, and that's like a win condition. Because I think more than anything, people just want to like, Hyris wants us to get creative, but it's also kind of used against base campers again, because you can just sit under your Phoenix for a whole game, but then you're not really farming, so the other team could farm and actually buy the potion. What if you made it so like killing a certain objective at X amount of time gave you 18% movement speed? So but it doesn't stack with boots, so you have to sell your boots and then you can get creative, right? I think it's a very like the base concept of this idea is awesome. There's so much potential, but the way they decided to do it with a 2000 gold potion, just it needs to be better, man, because no one is ever gonna buy that. And if someone's gonna buy that in this PL game, unless it's like a 60-minute game and you're playing into like Eris, Daji, I don't know, like anything that where you just need beats, right? And you want Magi's, I just think you're trolling and you're not playing to win. So something needs to be done about the Elixir speed. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments. Do you think, if you guys have like any crazy builds, something up there, I'm more than like hyped to just check out the build. I'm like, oh yeah, that build is awesome, or what about that, or what about this? What do you think of the item? What do you think of the consumable? I'm really out of it today. I'm sorry. What do you think of the consumable? Do you think it should change in one of the ways I proposed it? And lastly, what do you think of this new format for Clash of EmilZy? Do you like it? Do you dislike it? What can we improve on? So thank you guys so much for watching this video on the 2000 gold potion, the Elixir speed. If you like this video, please make sure to do a like, comment, subscribe, press the bell. Until next time, everyone. Peace out.